Because Arteta likes changing his system up every game, there's a lot of questions around the Arsenal team. With Arsenal not really having a solidified XI, it leaves a lot of people in and out of the squad quite commonly. But one of the players that has always been given a chance, or usually a start when he's fit, is Gabriel Jesus. But with the recent tactical changes and the new players that have come into Arsenal, is it actually best to start Gabriel Jesus for the rest of the season? Let's get into it. So like many of you, I was very excited when Gabriel Jesus signed for Arsenal. For months before, I was saying he was the person that really fit the team and he made the most sense out of the striker signings we could get at the time. And for a deal worth around £45 million for a young striker that had been at the best team in the country for the last 5 years, joining a team that came 5th, I thought was a very encouraging signing. And it showed real intent, and it was the start of the project that we have continued to now. And the first few months where he signed, he was insane. He was such a better upgrade than Lacazette. Not only did he actually score some goals, his link-up play, that move against Bournemouth where he went past nearly the whole team and we ended up scoring from the rebound, showed the quality that this guy had. And he was playing brilliant and the team was playing brilliant at the start of the season. And of course at the end it kind of fell apart, but Jesus was injured for a large part of that season. There's about 3 to 4 months in the Christmas winter period that he wasn't there after picking up consecutive injuries. But overall in that period we survived, and Eddie Nketiah did well in certain games. I think Gabriel Jesus came back and he still was a decent level, and people weren't really worrying about the strikers for Arsenal at the time. It was more other positions that mattered, such as midfield and defence. Now overall last season in 33 games he got 11 goals and 8 assists. Now this isn't the best record, but it was much better than what Lacazette was doing, and I think the assist is the real key part. He's a much better link-up player, and last season when Gabriel Jesus was in the team you see much improvements from our wingers. That's why Saka, Martinelli and Odegaard in midfield all ended up scoring around 15 to 16 league goals. So maybe he is more of a facilitator than a goal scorer in that sense. But it wasn't too much of an issue. The team flowed a lot better with him in it, and Arsenal were free scoring last year, scoring an insane amount of goals and being very attacking in competitive games. But this year the real problems have come across. Not only has Gabriel Jesus had 2 separate injuries already this season, missing around 5 to 6 games, and supposedly has another one right now, he's also sort of struggled to score anywhere near the goals he's expected to. He's one of the big players in the league that does underperform his XG, and I think in his whole career he's underperformed his XG in every year he's played. XG is calculated by the amount of percentage you should score from your chances you get. So from a penalty, for instance, around 78-79% that a player should score. And Gabriel Jesus just doesn't reach the levels he should. He's always underperforming around 5 XG, which clearly shows that he isn't a brilliant and very good clinical striker. And he wasn't necessarily for Arsenal last season, but it didn't matter as much because Arsenal were free scoring. This season Arsenal's attack has struggled at times, and there's been large problems with the whole thing, with none of them really getting a lot of goal contributions compared to last year. And with Gabriel Jesus just not taking the chances that he should have, it makes the attack look a lot worse, and he's also not doing what you expect him to. He is up front at the end of the day, and he is a traditional striker. He probably should be putting these away. But there's some games he does simply win it for Arsenal, like against Nottingham Forest last week. Early in the second half he missed a real key opportunity where he should have scored. He hit the post, missed a big opportunity, but then from an improbable angle where somewhere he shouldn't be scoring, he scores a weird goal, and somehow later on he gets a great assist for Saka's goal as well. And despite obviously getting a lot of criticism by his miss and his performance at the start, he ended up winning us the game at the end of the day and getting man of the match as well. And this is the thing about him, he's so hard to read. Like, he can play really well some games and get no goals or no assists, and play awful and get some goals and assists by just scoring insane goals out of nowhere. And for this season for Arsenal, he's really stepped up in the Champions League. For some reason in that competition he looks like an absolute beast, and despite only starting 4 games in the Champions League this year, he has 4 goals, which is the same amount he has in the league when he has started 14 games. In that competition he just seems much more free and able to do what he wants, and he also scores some insane goals, yet in the league he just seems to keep missing them. But the problem is the goals and assists don't really define him as a player. He misses a lot of opportunities, but if you look at his stats, they are really good. As a passing and progressive forward, he is amazing. He receives around 8 progressive passes per game and successfully takes on around 2 people per game, carrying it twice as well. He's also making around 2 to 3 progressive passes per game and doing a lot of passes for a striker. He is very involved in the play. He's not like Eddie, who will sit and wait for the chances. He will very much come deep and work with the players, which is something our team needs. And he's got a very much good intensity defending. He makes around 1.5 tackles per game and 1.2 blocks per game, which is a very high level for a striker, while also creating an amazing amount of chances per game. He's sitting at 0.23 assists per 90, and per game he makes around 3 shot creating actions. And this is really good for the team. He's creating so much per game and he's getting in the right positions. His non-penalty goals per game is 0.51 as well, which is is showing that he's expected to score in 1 every 2 games. But the issue is he's getting in these good positions, he's making well with the team, working with them, getting players higher up the field, but he just cannot finish his chances. So it's that sort of end product that is missing when he has so many parts of his game. And this is why I don't think it's easy just to say that you can drop him, because I don't think you can. I think he has to play in some capacity for Arsenal at the moment before someone comes in, because simply no one else is putting them numbers, progressive numbers and creative numbers up front. And that allows us to only really have the single pivot with Rice in midfield, because we're getting so much more creative actions happening. But if he's not putting them away, then it doesn't really matter how much you create, such as the West Ham game we played at the Emirates. And I know he has scored some really good headers in his career, especially for Arsenal, but also for Manchester City. I personally don't think he's very good in the air. He's obviously quite short at 5'9½", so you're not expecting him to win loads of headers, but that's not the issue. He seems to get a lot of free headers and he doesn't really decide to put them away. In that West Ham game at the Emirates, he missed a lot of good chances, especially on his head. And considering Arsenal this season have been very much a very crossing team, it's not great that he necessarily isn't clinical with the headers. And I know he has scored headers, he scored headers this season, but that's because we give him so much. I mean, the one against Luton, he's never going to miss. And when we do our corner strategy, when he has a free header back post, I also don't expect him to miss. When you create so many chances, you do just want a clinical nature striker in there, and he just simply is not a clinical striker. And it's weird because I do think everything else about his game is so good. His dribbling, his on-the-ball ability, his brains, he's got pretty good decision making a lot of the time. He's very physical on the ball, very good in challenge, but he just can't finish. So maybe moving him out to the wide areas of the team, I know we've got brilliant wingers out there, could be the way to go, because he's proven before that he's got brilliant dribbling. I think he's really good on that left side and can go past players. And I have seen some people say we should maybe try him in midfield, but I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that, because I prefer the double pivot. I guess it depends who you really play, because you're not going to need a double pivot every game, and we've proven we don't. I do think Arsenal have a lot more control and capabilities with that double pivot at the moment, and I think that's the future of the team. So if we bring in Zubimendi, or Jorginho's going to stay there for now, it makes more sense to Havertz to be up front, or someone with his nature, because of his height, and he can win a lot of duels compared to Gabriel Jesus. Even though Gabriel Jesus is a better striker than Kai Havertz, I don't think that's a disagreement that anyone's going to have. I just don't think he's as good for the system right now. I think overall the main takeaway is that he will change the system up per game, Arteta, so Gabriel Jesus definitely can be used in certain games, but I'm not sure if he should be used every single game if he's fit. His also unreliability from being fit all the time is going to cost us in the future, and we can't necessarily rely on him when we need to. So I don't know what his long-term future at the club is if we get a big striker in the summer and keep Eddie and Havertz still here. Let me know what you guys think about Gabriel Jesus, and let me know if you think he should be still playing for Arsenal in the starting team. I think he's a great player. I think he should definitely be given chances, but he does need to work on his finishing, because everything else about his game is really special. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please go and watch my video yesterday where I talk about Gabriel being the best player of the season, the other one obviously not Jesus, and I appreciate your view. I'll see you in the next one.